Hello, thank you for being here. I'm Ellen, and today we're going to be doing some yoga for low back pain, hopefully to prevent low back pain before it happens, but this is also great if this is something that you already experience in your daily life. So no matter what the root cause of your low back pain is, this is going to be a good video. However, it's specifically targeted toward what's called lordosis, or like an excess lumbar curve in your low spine. So if you have like an extra kind of curve through here, if you're not aware of it, it doesn't matter. It'll still help you. But what we're kind of going to be doing here, this can kind of be caused by weak lower core muscles, tight and dysfunctional hip flexor muscles. A lot of that sort of stuff happens when we sit too much or spin or anything like that. So we're going to be going over that. Take it easy. If anything doesn't feel good, if it hurts when you're doing it, maybe not a good idea. Back off from that one. Take it a little bit easier. So other than that, listen to your body, breathe, and let's get started. Okay, so we're going to begin today lying on our backs. So keep your knees bent up. Feet are hip width distance apart. Toes are pointed straight away from you. Arms relaxed down. Actually, let's bring our arms out to about a T so your shoulders can relax. So starting here, just kind of finding your breath, checking in with any little tight spots you're feeling. Maybe checking in with whether one hip is heavier down towards the floor than the other, anything like that. Just see how your body feels. And then breathing in and out through your nose. Begin to grow your breath a little deeper down into your belly as much as you can. It helps to exhale all the way out. And then grow your breath a little bit bigger. And once you've settled into a nice rhythm there, we're going to modify the breath a little bit. So inhale nice and big all the way. A little bit of a hold at the top, really kind of feeling your hips and everything through here. And then exhale all the way out, relaxing everything in your back until your back almost flattens down on the floor, and then pull your belly muscles in at the bottom. So every last little bit of air out. Your abs are squeezing, your low back is flat, holding there for a moment. And then release, inhale, relax the belly. Exhale everything out. And squeeze at the bottom. So keep going like that at the rhythm of your own breath. Just nice, big, full inhales. Making sure your shoulders and your pecs, the front part of your chest, that's all relaxed. And then really nice big squeeze at the bottom. Making it kind of a fluid motion, so don't just squeeze. You want to feel it, just everything tightens up, holds for a little bit, and then relaxes as you breathe. So it's a nice smooth fluid motion. Go back and forth with that. Squeezing at the bottom. Feeling it release as you inhale. So as you're squeezing, not only do you want to feel the top part of your abdominal muscles contracting, you want to feel the bottom part of your muscles contracting. So keep going. Feeling your hip bones, the two kind of bones in the front of your hip, and your pubic bone right at the bottom of your torso here, it's all squeezing together, you're tightening, even tightening your pelvic floor just a little bit at the bottom of the exhale, and then you can let it all go. All right, and then hug both knees into your chest. Giving yourself a little hug, kind of shake out the low back, feeling it round up a little bit. So if you have flexible hamstrings, you can take happy baby, which looks like this, reaching around, grabbing onto your feet, settling your knees down so your back and shoulders can kind of relax. If this is really cranking your body, this is just fine. Just hugging your knees into your chest. The same thing is happening. What we're going to be working on, I'm going to take happy baby for this one. So your spine kind of wants to curl up. You see this kind of curling up at the bottom. You want to flatten it as best you can. So you're using your muscles in your pelvis and your abdomen to uncurl your tailbone. So they're pulling away from you. So your back is nice and flat. Your hips are kind of, there's a little bit of pinching in your hips here or here, just the same sort of thing. You have to use your arms a little bit more with this one, maybe wrapping around, that's fine. And it's okay if your tailbone doesn't like reach the floor, that's fine. It's more just getting those muscles activated. So stay there. Once you find that, just take a few breaths into it. Mindful to keep all the rest of your upper body and everything else nice and relaxed. Stay with your breath. That's why you're here. And the more that, even though you're nice and kind of squished and constricted, the more that you can breathe into your belly with this one, and in all poses, the better. So keep practicing that as best you can. And release that out. You shake your legs out a little bit. Coming all the way up. And back to child's pose. So knees, for this one, take your knees out a little bit wider. Feet can kind of come together. Relax down. Stretch your arms out. Letting your belly breathe. So on your inhales, you can feel your hands and crown of your head reaching forward just a little bit. And then your hips sink really heavy down towards your heels on your exhale. So your low back is nice and long. So now we're not activating anything. We're just allowing gravity to kind of do the work, to just stretch out that low back. Stay with the breath. Keep it fluid. So you can stay there as long as you like. It feels delicious. Wait for an inhale when you're ready to come on up to hands and knees. Knees come back underneath your hips. Fingers spread out, pressing into your knuckles right underneath your shoulders. Pull those shoulders back, finding your foundation in hands and knees. Your feet can be extended or curled up, whatever feels good. I kind of like this way today. And then growing your breath, inhaling, dropping your belly down, rolling your hips forward, creating a nice arch in your low back. Exhale, rounding everything in, feeling your rib cage lift up, face relaxes, cat-cow, back and forth. Really work on arching through the pelvis on this one, especially on your inhales. So it's like you start with the pelvis and then rolling everything through like a wave, the whole motion of your breath, and then kind of the same thing, exhaling it out. Back and forth. Good, and then once you've had enough of that, you can come on back to child's pose, or if you like, you can come on up to downward facing dog. Curling your toes under, pressing your hips up and back. If you're in downward dog, really keep your arms nice and activated. And working to not like arch too much. You want to be reaching your tailbone straight back behind you. Your heels look, they're sinking down towards the floor. It really doesn't matter if they ever touch. I kind of like to keep my knees a little bit bent, especially for today as we're honoring the low back. You never want to crank the hamstrings too tight. Like really reaching, it ends up kind of, see how it kind of like destabilizes my low back, where if you've got a little bit of bounce here, it can really extend out through your torso. Belly pulls in a lot. Couple breaths here. Focusing on really reaching your tailbone up towards the sky on your inhales. You'll feel how there's a little bit of stretching going on in the back of your legs as you do that. You press into your hands to really make that happen. And then on your exhales, your belly pulls in. On an inhale, begin to shift your weight forward. Take your right foot with you. Right foot comes between your hands. Back knee comes down. Belly pulls in to start. I like to kind of keep the back foot lifted for this one, but if it feels better, you don't have to. So you're going to inhale, coming up to your kneeling lunge, staying here. So having to work the muscles a little bit. It's like your legs are kind of pulling in towards each other. but they're not actually moving. So your knee isn't coming in. It's still right in line with your foot there. Same with your back leg. So your legs create the stabilization. They pull in, they push down at the same time to lift up a little bit through here. So you're not collapsing down like this one for this one. You want to keep your belly pulled in, almost like you're tucking your tailbone down towards the floor to take your pelvis out of this anterior tilt. You kind of want to tilt it down just a little bit. So kind of make sure that you at least feel that action. It should be more of a stretch through the quad on your back leg. And then if you got the balance, inhale, lift your arms up. If this is a really hard balance pose for you, that means it's a really good pose for you to practice, but you can kind of find a wall, find a friend, do whatever, wiggle around. Once you're here, again, not collapsing down. Don't let your belly drop forward. Keep all that pulled in. Reach up through your left hand so it's like a little side stretch. Your right hand can kind of come down. It's a nice big stretch here. Stretches out the hip flexors, all this stuff that gets really tight when we sit too much. And you're breathing. And as much as you can, while maintaining that nice kind of solid foundation here in the front of your body to protect your low back so you don't round. You want to be breathing into this part of your body as much as you can so you kind of feel this all opening up. You've got this muscle called the psoas, which attaches on the front part of your lumbar spine, your low spine, comes through your body and attaches to kind of the front of your leg bone here. So we want to stretch that out. It kind of defeats the purpose if you kind of like sink down. That's why I keep repeating, we want to pull all this in. So just information. And then you can take that left hand down all the way to the floor. So you come forward a little bit, a little bit of a rest. And then inhale your right arm up, coming into a twist. So you want to be feeling that right hip kind of pull back a little bit. Right arm reaches up, keep your spine super long. And breathe here. Maintaining a little bit of pull in your low belly. Doesn't need to be a lot. Mostly on your exhales, you want to be inhaling into your belly a little bit. The spine stays super long. Good. And then exhale, bring that hand down. You can come back to child's pose or to downward facing dog, which is what I'm going to do. So again, kind of checking in with your core, checking in with your legs, checking in with your arms here in your down dog. And of course, most important, checking in with your breath. Wait for an inhale to come forward, taking your left foot with you. Right leg comes down, same thing, other side. Inhaling, pull your belly in to start. So you kind of come forward, pull in, and then lift up. Yeah, actually, I feel like this. Good. So again, pulling your legs towards each other, pushing them into the ground. You'll feel how that nice solid stability makes it so you can lift up. Staying here, keeping your spine long, making sure that you've got your tailbone kind of pulling down a little bit. Can't say it enough. And then reaching your left arm down, reaching up, and a little bit of a side bend on the right this time. So it's easy, especially if this is a little bit challenging to want to kind of sink forward. So if that's the case, maybe bring your knee a little bit further forward. Makes it a little bit easier. The key is really all the reach and all the lifting that you're doing in your upper body, and that's made possible by your nice, stable lower body. So stretching out that muscle, breathing into your side, breathing all the way down into your hip. And then let's take our right arm down, lift our left arm up, coming into a little twist. So this kind of wants to sort of shoot forward, kind of destabilizing you. Yeah, you want to kind of pull it back, using your hip muscles to protect your core, to protect your low back. That's the whole key. You want to keep everything nice and stable, nice alignment. And stretch. Inhaling, long spine, reaching in both directions. Exhaling, maybe opening up a little bit more. Maybe sinking forward a little bit if that feels good. Doesn't have to. Oh, and one thing, if this is like not happening for your body, you can stay up like this and just kind of bring your right arm across and just kind of twist like so. That's totally fine too. Careful of your low back. If you have like a flared up injury in your low back, then just kind of a nice solid just upper body twist while keeping all of this nice and level is just fine if this is a little bit too much. So yeah, just try it out. And exhale, bring this down. Step back, child's pose or downward dog. For a big breath in. And letting it all go. So if you're in child's pose, just make your way to the front of your mat. If you're in downward dog, inhale, look forward. Exhale all your air. Gently bring your feet to the top. Forward fold. That's all needed. Forward fold. Bend your knees a little bit here. That'll kind of allow all this to lengthen. See if you straighten your legs again. It's like round, stuck. Everything is stuck. If you bend your knees, this all is allowed to kind of open up and drift towards the floor. Wait for an inhale. Bend your knees a lot. Pull your belly in to come up to chair pose. I like to kind of have my hands in like this. It doesn't really matter today what we're doing with our arms. So if it's better just to have them on your hips if you're tight through your upper body, doesn't matter. What we want to focus on in chair is you want to keep your belly really pulled in and your tailbone tucked, not like forward and rounded, but just like straight down back behind you, sinking a little bit lower. I care more about pulling those hip bones, that low core, that little triangle of your like hips and pubic bone all in and towards each other, really strengthening with that low core. That's the key to keeping your low back nice and safe, is that low core. Building a little bit of heat, building a little bit of strength, and staying with your breath. Sink a little lower, weight stays in your heels. And inhale, release, coming all the way up. A little bit of a stretch, just kind of shake that out before coming all the way down. Back to your back. The hard work is done, almost. Okay. So the key to this next one is to keep your low back pretty flat on the floor. We're going to kind of exaggerate it just for this one. If it's really difficult, then you can kind of keep your back a little bit arched, but try and keep it as flat as you can. So you're going to bring your legs up to about tabletop. So they're about 90 degrees. Toes are pointed straight up. Everything else is relaxed down. I like my hands on my hips just because it helps me not cheat in the low back. So you have to really feel, like immediately you kind of feel, oh, you kind of want to arch forward and let it fall. Pull that belly in. And then keeping your legs at 90 degrees, you're just going to touch one heel down, keeping your back flat, and then the other. If that's really difficult, which it can be to kind of keep your back flat, because we care about like the little bits of alignment, don't cheat, then just bring it down, just like kind of just straighten it just a little bit, and then bring it back in. You don't need to touch it all the way down to the floor. What we're doing is we're teaching our body to hold our back flat on the floor, keeping everything strong here, while starting to lengthen out these hip muscles. So it's not just about stretching them, it's about integrating that into the body. Anyway, so you can kind of keep going. So after you've built this strength up, and this is starting to become easy for you, probably not when you first do it, but if you watch this video enough times, then maybe you can take a block or a pillow, like a folded up couch pillow or anything like that, in between your knees to keep everything nice and stable here. And then you can lower both at the same time, keeping your low belly, pushing your low back into the ground, lowering it down. You'll feel how this is all really working here. And back and forth like so. This one is easier for me. Like I feel myself wanting to cheat at the bottom so I don't come all the way down. Just kind of see what works for you. A little bit of core work. A little bit of lower core work, which is the best kind of core work. Back and forth, stay with your breath. Okay, that's enough of that. Release. Feels kind of good. My favorite hip stretches. Here we go. I have the needle pose. So taking your right ankle up over your left knee. Making sure that your tailbone is pointed straight directly away from you. If you can't feel it, that's okay. Just kind of imagine it. You don't want your hips to be kind of twisting, doing anything funny. The more stability and awareness we have in our legs and our hips, the better we'll be able to take care of our low back, yeah? And then if you've got the flexibility, you can bring this leg up. Maybe you can reach around with your fingers and grab it. Again, don't let it kind of tilt. You want to keep those hips as level as you can, so keep that tailbone pointed away from you. It's mostly like this hip that wants to kind of come out and up. You want to push it back down. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry, you'll eventually figure it out. And breathe. So guiding your breath back down into your belly after all that core activation. Massaging all those internal organs. And keep your ankle crossed over the way it is. Arms come out to the side. Bring your leg down and then just tilt over, hip crossing over. And then you can turn your head off towards the right. So it's like a nice hip stretch. And so breathe into where you feel this stretch here. If it feels kind of like weird in your hip, like in not such a good way, press your bottom leg kind of into the floor a little bit and you kind of move your hips forward, if that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. Just breathe. And then when you're ready to come out of it, squeeze your belly in, kind of flatten your back to the floor as you come back on up. Uncross and take it to the other side. So, whole nother experience on the other leg. So check in, keep those hips level. Bring that right knee in if it feels good. Hang out here. Relaxing through the face, relaxing through the shoulders. Breathing into your low back as it presses into the floor. And then when you're ready, release those arms. Right foot comes down. And tilt the pelvis, keeping your knee and ankle connected on that side. And take your twist to the other side. You can kind of wiggle around in this until it feels like a good stretch, and then you just kind of breathe into it. This is a great pose, not only for stretching out the hips, releasing tension in the low back and in the core, which we've been working on, but it also helps decouple compensation issues from your upper body to your lower body. So if you have some shoulder stuff and also low back pain, this is a great one. This is just great no matter what you got. But anyway, breathing. Staying here for a little bit, stretching out through the arms, maybe pushing into that bottom leg to kind of pull your hips over towards the right a little bit, opening that left knee up, if that feels good. Just a little extra. And then pull your belly in, bring it all the way back in. Give yourself a little hug, tell yourself how amazing you are. And then relaxing your legs down. Shavasana, final resting posture. Palms face up, pull the shoulder blades down, and then just let everything relax. Breathing into your low belly for a few breaths as much as you can, and then even letting conscious control of your breath go. Just watch it as it returns to resting.